Thank God it's Friday. Here's the truth. Most people waste Fridays. That mindset is exactly why most people stay stuck. I'm your girl, LCJ, and I'm going to be sharing with you why Fridays matter and why they're so important to your success. A lot of times we go into the week, we go into Monday, it's motivation Monday, right? You're watching all the videos, you're listening to the music, you're trying to pump yourself up Sunday night. But the reality is most people don't think about the momentum that you need on Friday. You just don't need motivation on Monday, but you've got to make sure you have better momentum on Friday. Most people treat Friday like this throwaway day. It's the day you clock out early, you mentally shut off. But here's the truth. The way that you end your week is just as important as how you start it. It's even more important to how you start the next week. So instead of thinking about how you're going to coast into the weekend, and I think rest is important, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. What if you chose to actually just close out the week with purpose? So instead of coasting, you're just closing it with purpose. What if Friday became the day that you actually use it to tie up your loose ends, that you celebrate your wins? And I'm going to park real quick about the celebrate your wins thing. So many people that I coach struggle with celebrating their wins. We often look at the week and say, oh, I didn't do this. I forgot that task. I messed up here. But do you actually take time to go in and, hey, maybe I got a couple of kudos in an IM. And I used to like to screenshot them and drop them into my little kudos folder, my win folder that I had. Either it was in my email or I kept it on my OneNote, but I had this place where I just captured my wins for the week. You don't need a lot. Sometimes 1 to 3 is usually how I like to share people, but most people don't even stop to celebrate their wins for the week. I'll give you one. I ran this week. I came up with this idea for Thank God Fridays. Thank God it's Fridays, and I'm recording it, and I'm going to drop it today on Friday. That's a win for me. I actually had a week full of content pushed out on LinkedIn. That was another win for me. Are we capturing our wins? So, okay, Fridays are for tying up loose ends. We're celebrating our wins and even sharing your wins. It matters. Trust me in this. It makes a difference. And then what happens is you are walking into rest, not stress for the weekend. Because you finished what you said you were going to do, but you also took time to celebrate. And I can't stress enough. Here's what happens. When we don't end our week like this, we tend to go into the week and go into the weekend, which is usually time for family and friends and sometimes ourselves and catching up, and we're running ragged into the weekend. We deserve better. Our families deserve better. One of the ways that we can do this is tying up those loose ends and celebrating our weeks. And my favorite thing I actually like to do is actually plan for the next week. So even when I'm going into the weekend, I already know what next week roughly looks like. And so one of the ways that I did this when I was a leader was I called it No Meeting Fridays, and my team would tell you. And one of the things, it was actually, I sometimes struggle to get leaders and executives to understand the importance of No Meeting Fridays. But once they got it, they understood it. When I did No Meeting Fridays, there was a sole purpose for how my team thought about Fridays. Fridays was a way to stop, tie up their loose ends, right? Which was figuring out what I needed to get done for me to feel like this week was complete. I also had them use Fridays for skilling themselves up. The expectation was that they were setting aside time to learn on Fridays, also to connect on Fridays. As a leader, I often use Fridays to just even catch up with the team, some one-offs, some pings. How are you doing? How's the week going? It made a difference in how my team operated. And I had a rule. I said, hey, you're not obligated to accept the Friday meeting. And if somebody has an issue with it, tell them to come talk to me. And all of the time that I was a leader, and I was an executive in a Fortune 50 company, do you know how many times my team had to come to me and tell me, hey, somebody is trying to make me meet on Friday? I just want you to guess. 0. 0 times. Why? Because they understood the value. Typically, there's something, I'm going to go on this tangent and then I'm going to keep going. One of the reasons why I was so against Fridays, because it does matter how you finish the week, right? I do think it's very, very important, but I do not believe in dumping stuff on people heading into the weekend. I just think it's unkind. That's Toya's opinion. Those are thoughts. There are times when you can't get around it. I actually worked in a role that sometimes things came up on Friday and I could not work around it. I had to have those meetings, but I still made sure I found a way to actually wrap up the week. And you may be in a culture where you can't do that. And I get that. But maybe it's guarding your Friday afternoons so you can wrap up the week. Maybe you'll say, hey, actually, can this wait? One of my favorite, hey, can this wait till next week? You would be amazed. Who actually will say, actually, yeah, it can wait till Monday or Tuesday. But we don't ask, we don't advocate, we don't set boundaries. Okay, so that's all I'll say about that on Friday. Back to my notes. But here's the thing. I want you to take for a second and be real with me. Okay, what are you avoiding finishing today because it's uncomfortable, it's hard, or it's inconvenient? What's something? What's that one thing? Don't worry, I'll wait. If you have to, pause the video, because I really want you to think about this. Okay? Now, here's the other magic question, and I'm guilty of this too. How many times has that same thing rolled over from last week to this week into the next week? And here's what's tough about that. It steals your peace. There have been so many times where I'm like, oh, I need to do this thing. I need to do this thing. I need to do this thing. And I'm thinking about doing the thing. And I'm, like I need to do the thing, but I haven't done the thing and I put off the thing. So I'm thinking about the thing that I need to do and why I haven't done it. Do you see what I'm saying? And it starts to rob you of your peace. So what's that? What does that look like to round out? What's this one thing? And a lot of times, here's what I love. This is when I am my most productive and my most creative. What happens is on Fridays, when I'm looking at next week, I usually pick one, no more than 3 things I want to get accomplished the next week. So that when I go into the week, I have a plan. I know my time. I know what to say yes to. I know what to say no to. Because when you say yes to something, you are automatically saying no to something else, right? Yes, nod your heads with me. So here's the thing. So then by the time I get to the end of the week, I can check that off and I have more peace about it. Now it's your move. This is your move. I just want you to pick just one thing you've been putting off. One thing. Not 5, just one. And I want you to send the email or wrap up that project. I want you to do the hard thing that you don't want to carry into next week. For me, I'm gonna keep it 100. It's this laundry. It's the blessed Jesus laundry. It will be laundry. I have 2 loads of laundry that need to be folded. I'll probably use my lunch break today to just fold the laundry because I don't want to carry it into next week. Because guess what happens? There's more laundry next week. That's my one thing. That's the one thing I'm avoiding. It's been staring at me for like 3 days. Just being honest, okay? You will thank yourself on Monday that you did that thing today. Now, James Clear says one thing. James Clear, one of my favorite books is Atomic Habits. My team would tell you, my team that I led would tell you I quote this all the time. My friends will tell you that I quote it. My daughter will probably tell you that I quote it. I quote this thing at nauseum. James Clear says that you do not rise to the level of your goal, but you fall to the level of your systems. A lot of people are stuck because they don't have a system for how they end the week. Some people don't even have a system on how they start the week, and we can do another video on that. But they don't have a system for how you end the week. And so while you have these goals, we kind of sometimes just limp and coast and drag and crawl our ways to Fridays. And I want to challenge you on that. So here's what I want you to do. Drop a fire emoji in the comments. If you're going to be committed to finishing something strong today, I want you to tag somebody. I want you to share this video with somebody who needs an extra push to get through the rest of this week, the end of this week. Okay? That's my challenge to you. I want to know. I'm going to be in the comments waiting to hear from you. Okay? What's that one thing? All right. That's it. Your first TGIF It's your girl, LCJ. Finish with excellence, live by design. Peace.